Man certain rich grandma left him a large fortune, finds only a note in her featherbed. A wealthy man spent his late teens caring for his ailing grandmother to inherit all of her wealth, but all she left him was a note. He thought his grandmother had duped him all those years, only to discover later that what she left behind would change his life forever. Braylon Moore set his priorities straight since he was a teenager, and he'd always dreamed of the day when he'd be rich and have all the comforts of life, allowing him and his mother Caroline to leave behind the miserable life they'd been living since his father abandoned them. Not long enough, life presented Braylon with a golden opportunity when his grandmother Sandy became ill and had no one to care for her. Sandy, 90, was a cheerful woman who had managed her late husband's business all by herself, from managing the shares to estates and everything else. But as her old age approached, she wanted her family, her daughter and grandson, to be close to her. Unfortunately, Caroline and Sandy's relationship became strained shortly after Caroline decided to marry Braylon's father. Sandy had warned Caroline that he wasn't the right man for her, but Caroline was so in love that she ignored all of his flaws, which gradually became apparent a few years after marriage, leading to the divorce. But it was too late by then. Caroline and Sandy were opposed in every way, and Caroline avoided her even when she was ill. It was Braylon who stepped in to care for his sick grandmother, not out of concern, but because his eyes were gleaming at her wealth. "If you look after me, Braylon," she'd said, "I promise I'll leave you something that will change your life forever." To a mean teenager like Braylon, that meant the whole world. He was confident Sandy would leave him a fairly huge inheritance, so he decided to look after her until she went to her heavenly home. "Gran, I am the best caretaker in the world. You can just let me know what you want, and I'll get it for you," he'd tell her. At that, Sandy would brightly smile at him. "Oh, my dear, I'm so glad you still care about me. I wish Caroline would soften her heart a little for me. If only she could let go of her anger toward me. Oh, come on, Gran. Why do you keep worrying about her? She doesn't love you because she doesn't know how special you are." And Sandy's sad face would brighten when Braylon said that. She just loved to see how much he cared for her, not knowing that Braylon's mind was just fixated on her wealth. "You are special, Grandma. After all, after you die, all wealth is mine," he'd gleefully ponder. And to ensure he could persuade Sandy, the 18-year-old boy visited her every day after returning from university. He bought her groceries, cleaned her apartment, and watered her flower beds. Later, when her health deteriorated and she was mostly confined to her bed, he assisted her in getting to the toilet and bath and back to bed. Years passed in this manner. At 21, Braylon didn't pay much attention to his studies and had dropped out of college to care for Sandy. After all, he was about to receive a large inheritance, and he couldn't let his classes get in the way. He worked as a cashier at a Dunkin' Donuts near Sandy's house, and he already moved out of Caroline's house. One day, while he was cleaning Sandy's closet, he discovered a large box of stamps. "Gran," he inquired, perplexed, "do these stamps belong to Grandpa?" "Oh, they're dear," a forgetful Sandy said. "Yes, your Grandpa loved them. They must be worth millions of dollars now. You see, you no longer get them anywhere. Some of those stamps belong to your granddad's dad." Braylon's face was beaming with joy when Sandy said that. "And this will be part of my inheritance as well," he thought. "Just a few more days, Braylon, and you'd be living the life of a king." But fate had other plans for him. Another year passed, and Sandy's health did not appear to deteriorate. Braylon's concern grew as he became tired of looking after her daily. The stench of her medications irritated him every time, and her smile, which had once seemed pleasant to him, began to annoy him. So one day he declared that he didn't want to look after her any longer. "Are you serious, Gran?" he screamed at her. "Why didn't you tell me your medicines were running out? You expect me to go to the pharmacy and get them for you right now? That's not going to happen." "It's all right, Braylon," Sandy said quietly. "It's okay if you don't want to. I'll take it." "You should be okay, Gran," Braylon retorted. "I've been looking after you as a caretaker for the past 5 years, and I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I don't care whether you eat or you die. Just get lost," he yelled as he walked out of her house, slamming the door behind him. However, as he was leaving for work the following day, he calmed down and realized he shouldn't have yelled at her. "Braylon, you've got to be crazy." What was the point of yelling at her? He cursed himself, fearing he had jeopardized his future inheritance. So he decided to visit her before going to work, but when he arrived, she was gone. Sandy had died peacefully in her sleep, and Braylon was overjoyed that all of her wealth would be his. After the funeral, he went to her house to look for the treasured money, turning everything around, but all he found was a note on her featherbed. "To my loving Braylon," the top of the read. Braylon recognized Sandy's handwriting and opened the note to read it. "Dear Braylon, thank you for being such a loving grandson and looking after me, honey. I am glad that you were around me when I needed a family. I know I can't return what you did for me, but I've left something for you at the notary. The contact number is 20-253-50919. I'll advise you to call him as soon as possible after you find this note. With love, Grandma Sandy." So Grandma did leave her inheritance to me. Braylon thought happily as he dialed the number on the note, but his hopes were quickly dashed. "I believe you are mistaken, Mr. Morse," the notary officer informed him. "Your grandmother only left you a painting and a note. All of her major estates and funds will be donated to charity." "What?" Braylon was taken aback. "Are you sure? I mean, if you don't believe me, you can come to the office and confirm it." The officer snapped, "Thank you," and the call was disconnected. Braylon, shaken by the news, immediately went to the notary's office to confirm it, only for his hopes to be dashed again. He cursed himself for looking after Sandy, and when he looked at the painting, he thought it was terrible and that he wouldn't even get $1.20 for it. Besides, the other note she'd left made him feel like she was mocking him. "I hope you like the little gift from Grandma Sandy, Braylon. Trust me, it will change your life," it said. "Sure, it will. If I was a homeless person begging for alms," Braylon thought as he walked out of the notary's office with the painting. 5 years later, Braylon was now working as a data entry operator at a friend's company. He met the love of his life, Ashley, soon after joining there, and the two got married after going out on a few dates. When Ashley became pregnant, the couple decided to relocate to a larger home and sell some of the old items in the basement. Braylon came across the painting again at that point. When he saw it, he lost his cool. "For so many years, I squirmed over her bed for some useless painting," he mumbled as he carried it to the living room to be stacked with the items he intended to sell. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. His friends, Steve and Linda, had paid a visit for lunch. "Come on in," he said, showing them the way inside. "Honey, Steve and Linda are here. Sorry about the mess in the house, guys. You know, moving out and all that." Ashley came out of the kitchen. "Oh, Steve and Linda, I'm so glad you could make it today. I'm going to miss you guys terribly when we leave." "Oh, babe," Linda exclaimed. "Don't worry, we'll come to visit you. After all, we need to meet the little one." Suddenly, Steve spoke up. "Hey, Braylon, this painting, where did you get it?" "Ugh, that's some crap, you know. Something my grandmother left behind. I'm going to sell it for a few dollars. Are you insane? That's $1 billion painting," Steve declared, making Braylon's heart pound. "What? But, yeah, man. Trust me, I'm an antique dealer. I've seen several paintings, but this one is rare. Have you heard of the painter Angel McKinsey? He used to paint only when he was sad, and all of his works are worth billions." Braylon couldn't believe Stephen's words, but after a few days of searching and consulting with the other antique dealers, he realized they were true. That painting was a true rarity, and many collectors were vying for it. Braylon couldn't help but feel guilty at this point. His grandmother adored him, but he was obsessed with money, completely forgetting that his grandmother Sandy was more valuable. So after realizing his mistake, he kept the painting as a reminder that his grandmother probably knew he was after her money but still loved him.